All right. All right. All right. Good morning, traders. My name is not Vlad Karpel. Vlad texted me over the weekend, asked if I could just catch a couple more mornings today and tomorrow. I said, hell yes. You know I will. So, pleasant surprise for all of us. But good morning and welcome out to the TradeSpoon Live Trading Room, opening bell, stocks and options. And my name is Scott Beck. I will be your host. Good morning, Mikhail. Good morning, John. Good morning to you, Ted. Hello, LK. Magnificent Monday indeed, Dennis. Good morning, Phil. Hello, Teresa. Good morning, Faust. Thank you. I hope you do as well. And good morning, Chet. Good to see you, sir. Good to see everybody. I appreciate it. Love the energy. Good morning. Good evening, Han. Back from a 6-month hiatus. I hope it was a good one. Good to see you. I hope all is well. Yeah, love it. Let's talk about it. That's me, trading for a while, teaching for a while. Those are the disclosures. Be careful out there. Know what you're doing. That's the gist of it. It's nasty. It's still nasty. So I'm gonna cop to it. Normally I would be doing it this morning. I typically do my market posture over the weekend on Sunday. Sunday was Mother's Day, so I chose to show the attention she deserves all day, trying to do what I could. And I did not do my market posture yet. I think it's going to be as bad. So I was planning on doing it this morning. Anyone who does that type of routine, let me know. Good morning to you, Bill Karan. Good to see you. -4. That sounds about right. It's I'm gonna say in pretty firmly in the negatives without a lot of improvements. That's the market we have. So, we come here and we say, oh, it's a bit nasty out there, but I would say hopefully most of you are doing okay. Now I say okay because it's not like we expect that this is a market where we're going to churn a bunch of profits, because in order to churn a bunch of profits, you have to take a bunch of risk. And you have to ask yourselves, is this the market where I want to take a bunch of risk, or is this the market where I think, it can be choppy? Oil and energy were phenomenal, and you're like, that's where I should be. But if you got into oil or energy at the wrong time, it could also chop you right up if you're late. Seeing it. So this is definitely a market where your risk level should be lower. Your trade management should be tighter and a little more aggressive. Your profit taking should probably be a little sooner. So these considerations of how we manage trades are not a linear thing that we just do this all the time. No, we make it market specific. It's contextual. That's how you be water. Water recognizes what's the context I'm in, the environment, the shape that I need to fit, and then it fits. And that's what we should be doing. We look at the market. We say, what should I be fitting here? Right? This is not the market where you say low VIX trending and you just get as many of your chips on the table as often and as long as you can, because that's the best market. You make as much money as you can during that market. And then there's some markets where you just simply try to keep it, right? You just try to make sure that you're not contributing and drawing down, so that right when the market does turn, that's why I do that type of a market posture. So I can say, oh, -4, -3, -2, -1. I start to see improvement. I think, all right, I don't have to be bullish to trade bullish. That's not the gist of it. I'm looking for the momentum to shift. That's why I posture from week to week, because as I see improvement, I can say, oh, this is what I was looking for. I see the right sector starting to move into position. I see the VIX bleeding off volatility. I see these things that allow me to say, yep, let's start to get a little more aggressive. Let's start to hold things a little longer. Right, and we make the adjustment, but we make sure that we see, don't think, don't feel, see these things occurring. So there it is. That's my soapbox for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Today's soapbox speech was brought to you by Coffee. No specific brand, just coffee in general. Thank you, Mario. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get into it. What do we know? Markets are down 1.5% on the S&P, 1.2 on the Dow, 2% on the Nasdaq, almost 1.5 on the Russell. It was recorded, Bob, for your viewing pleasure. Consumers are being more selective, says the Yelp CFO. I do like Yelp. Every time I travel, my daughter and I have like Yelp adventures. It's pretty funny. And we eat some good stuff. Stock futures sink as volatility grips the markets. But here's what I'd say. I'm going to stop there for a second. Here's what I would say. Volatility didn't just all of a sudden grip the markets. You can actually see we're better than we were. We were almost another 1% down earlier in the morning. Yeah, John, sorry, I did get behind. I will definitely send that out. You can see that it's off the lows already. So, do we see a capitulation day? We're not sure. Let's see the bigger picture. The question was, is this going to hold? And you can see it just sort of hasn't. We just sort of meandered through it. It wasn't like we smashed through it. You can see we were like small body had a shadow, small body had a shadow, just sort of tricking its way through here, right? So on Friday, it was like, it was enough of a recovery. We talked about it on Friday morning, if you remember, right? That it could. One of the things I drew was the possibility even for a candle that would have looked like this, right? Where it would have been like that. I said, oh, we could have a hammer. We didn't, but it got close, and it was there a couple of times during the day. We all probably noticed, right? And we were well off the low, so we're like, is that a hammer? We're still inside of that range. Honestly, even today, we tested lower overnight, 40.31, but back here we got down to 41 or 40.55. Where are we now? 40.59. So even right now, did we end at a doji on Friday? It's not really a doji because a doji's more of, kind of a spinning top indecision, whereas you can see this one had much more of this body shape. On SPY, it's going to be about the same. I'll show you SPY in a second. They should be very, very similar. But this low right here is significant, and you can see we're still kind of sitting on it. So when you go by bodies, we kind of thought that this was the test, but this was going to hold. But at the end of the day, we still haven't really broken down other than overnight. The overnight tested below, but again, we're not going to meet this afternoon. We'll meet tomorrow. We're going to meet tomorrow 3 times. You guys are going to be so sick of me. I hope not. But at the end of today, it could look like this. Again, it's a long day. We haven't even opened. That's a lie. Now we've opened. We're open. But at the end of today, if the sellers capitulate and the buyers make a late run, we could easily see this back up here with a shadow and say we have a hammer forming still inside inside of that same price range. Fair enough. So that's where we find ourselves, right? If you're hedged, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, now I personally like to take some profit on my hedges. So I'm just going to show you. So our high was around here, around 42.85. We'll call it. I mean, we'll switch. Sorry, I was trying to blank it out. We'll switch to SPY now because that's what we're more used to seeing. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, Teresa, you are right. We did finish on a doji. That would be a doji right there. We didn't have as much of a body to the upside. Sorry, my fault. Well identified. Doji on the SPY. And you can see today we're just kind of hanging out right there. There is no overnight on that one, so we're just hanging out right there. At that low that we've already tested twice. So again, this one would probably look more like this, but that's easily what we could have. And at the end of the day, do we look at that and think I'm bullish? No. Do I look at that and think it's holding support? Yes. I still have this consolidation here. It needs to break the consolidation and then hold. That's what I'm looking for to start to say that would make my short-term analysis go bullish, right? That would make it go bullish right there. Not a lot of bullish, just like, okay, we now have the signs of a reversal that we've been looking for. Okay, so yes. What else do we know? Okay, I'll come back to this, but you can see the same kind of thing, right? They say volatility grips the market. There's nothing new here. The volatilities look like this. We've been dealing with volatility like this for quite a while now, and we've been expecting it to build up since back here. That's when we're like, whoa, that's not good, and then we said, whoa, that's even less not good. That's what we look for hedging, right? For maintaining a bit of a defensive posture is when we see institutional volatility starting to swell. Okay. Anything else going on that we need to be aware of? There's really no news. Isn't today Russia Day? And they're wondering if something's going to happen today or he's going to do something because it's the day they celebrate defeating the Nazis in 1945 or something like that. We're adding to some long positions, Victory Day. I'm not sure I understand, Ted. Adding what to long positions? I might have missed the first part of your question. Mortgage rates highest in 13 years already. VIX is going up. I would say the VIX is holding up, but I don't know if I would say going up. We'll go back to it in just a second here. Just scanning to see if there's any news that I haven't seen. The market is taking a beating. It won't end soon. I mean, look, I still see it negative, but we definitely seem to be holding a support level now. Dow Jones tumble as market correction extends losses. Why Apple is an absolute loser. Woo! Okay. If the VIX goes up, adding to long puts for hedges. Remember, the VIX is going up as the market continues to go down. So yeah, definitely be careful with whatever it is you're looking to add to. Still no stock market bottom signal from VIX. I actually might read that. I'm curious to see how they interpret it. I won't do it now. Here's the economic calendar. I agree. The VIX has not given a signal. The signal I'm looking for is the lower high. And you can see in here, we don't seem to be giving that. But it is interesting, right? That right now the market's at a lower low while the VIX is not at a higher high. So I actually might trade into if we saw something like this tomorrow where we're like, okay, it's engulfing. Maybe we see this turn over here and we think it's going to drop and possibly just head straight down. It might just come down a little bit, up a little bit, and just give us that little waiver. But I'm looking for the lower high that says, you can see we had it right there, de-escalation. de-escalation. Sorry, let me point that down. There you go. De-escalation. De-escalation for bullishness. That's what I'm looking for. All right. The economic calendar says what does it say? What day is today? The 9th? Maybe I could get to the right spot. Wholesale inventories comes out. Not much going to be there, I don't think. 1-year inflation expectations. I mean, maybe the market responds at some point if it starts to see a drop. We'd like to see that measures that A, it's stabilizing, and B, measures being taken are having an impact, obviously. If at any point we start to see, and it may just be organic from the consumer basically saying, okay, you know what, this is getting ridiculous. And so it just slows up a little bit, prices stabilize. I don't know. We're looking for that. A lot of inflation data this year or this week. Nothing tomorrow. Small business index, real household debt. Market has no interest, doesn't care. Wednesday, CPI, core CPI, CPI year over year. That is inflationary data. We definitely are going to pay attention to that. Jobless claims, nothing there, but PPI, oh, too far. PPI, and then on Friday we have consumer sentiment. Okay, so there's a decent amount coming out. We're gonna be keeping an eye on inflationary data, so we'll see what it says. What does Stella say? Stella says more neutral now. That we might be holding the bottom, bounce up a little bit, testing again, just kind of grinding a little bit sideways here at the lows. I certainly agree with that. We know cyclically, we'll look at it here in a minute. Cyclically, the market tends to go sideways this time of year. A lot of uncertainty with shutdowns in China and new supply chain disruptions now expected. Food prices spiking here going into the summer, where we start to see, the impact of, what is the yields and crops going to be. I mean, it's obviously going to affect the poorer countries the worst. The energy prices remain high and the war remains, the invasion remains happening. So a lot of uncertainty, right? The Fed with a more aggressive stance. Listen to all that and ask yourself, is it hard to find some momentum? But as we start to, all of that is price. It's not like any of that's new news. And here we are, still not in a bear market, right? So what do we have? We have wages are good and jobs are good, and real estate values for those who own it are good. There's a lot of equity there. There is new home buyers are struggling, but those who are in them have done quite well. So there's a lot of money still, right? That's what's holding the market up. So the question's going to be, does inflation come down before jobs or vice versa? Because if inflation starts to come down while the employment market remains pretty good, and right, we know corporations have been making money. As long as they're not firing people, everything's going to be all right. That's my opinion. We are in the makings of a recession. Absolutely, that could be true. We actually already showed a slightly negative Q1 on GDP, and yet the market really has processed it fine. It very well could be a second negative quarter for Q2, and then it's over by Q3, and the market may never actually go bearish. Remember that recession doesn't necessarily mean bear market. We may have seen the worst of it already. I don't know. I'm not going to be shocked if we go to new lows, especially because my market posture is negative. But right now, I feel like there it is. I see us holding a support level in a way that makes me think that the possibility of a bounce, and then we get to interpret that bounce. Am I going to trade that bounce? Well, you're talking about a bullish bounce into what we have already said we've assessed as a negative market. So if you're going to trade it, you'll trade it sparingly, I would say, right? You would take less trades, less risk. You would manage them more aggressively, take profits more aggressively, etc. Opinion from you, looking at options. What is more important, open interest or spreads? Well, they're one and the same, really, to me, meaning that the objective of open interest is tight spreads. So I would say then that the most important is the spread itself. I have seen times where the open interest wasn't much, but the spreads were tight. And I'm like, okay, I'll trade this still. And I have seen times where the open interest was high and the spreads were still wide. And I'm like, to hell with this. And I didn't trade it. So I would say, my opinion, the spread itself is the most important thing. The open interest lends itself to how tight will that spread possibly be. Don't see tech or financials performing. I agree. So there it is. Neutral on SPY. Sorry, I'm soapboxing a little too much today. Now is the time to be liquid. Agreed. Right? Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Be water, my friends. That's the that's the advice. QQQ. The Qs looks very similar. Ace, or excuse me, Ace. What am I talking about? It's an A model. It's got good reliability, but looking to hold, bounce up a little bit, but come back down, maybe grind sideways. We do have a butterfly on, and I'll probably look to add another time strategy now, based on what we've seen. Possibly the same expiration, possibly the next one out. I'll have to decide as we look at it. Russell, still bullish, man. Still bullish, which is interesting because I saw somebody bring up the Russell. I saw somebody bring up the Russell as a leader to the downside, and I'm like, well, yeah. We'll see though. It has shown some recovery, so the Russell will be interesting. What do people want to do with small caps, right? Okay, and sorry, I'm blanking. What do we not do? The DIA. The DIA. We'll go see if the heat map is running up yet or not. I guess I could go to the Thinkorswim one. I like the one on FinViz, but it is lagging. Another sideways. Vlad putting on a bearish IWM September spread. Okay. Yeah, look, like we said, I am definitely postured negatively on the market right now. I think there could the possibility of a bounce. If it bounces, that bounce gives you a great opportunity to slap something on at a little bit higher spot, but it certainly makes sense. Here is why I am talking about sideways. The live trading room is in session now. Join us. Join us. Because from a seasonal standpoint, we tend to see a lot of just grinding it out, right? It could be sideways through the end of June. It's early May. Okay, you get the gist of it. Do I have? Nope, I think I need 5 more minutes maybe. I guess I could go look at it on Thinkorswim, but I'm not going to. The VIX is up, but it's still just kind of holding in this same spot. Let's look at our opening range. Okay, so there it is. The opening range is pretty well set. Now, if we break it here and then come under it, it could be a nasty morning. Not necessarily a nasty day. I mean, it could break and then test it and then really drop down, test around 400. And then it could recover by the end of the day and still end up giving us that candle at the end of the day, right? Little long tail. So it's going to be a long day. We're not going to meet in the afternoon, but certainly we need to process. Do we hold? Do we break? Or do we meander and just kind of, you can see the sellers are testing it right now, but it's 7:46, or change that to your time zone. We're 16 minutes into the day. Lots going to happen here. And there's no way for us to process this up after the first 15 minutes. Let's go look at the the butterfly real quickly. SPY. Is there? I don't know. Vlad only asked me to do the morning. I don't think I could in the afternoon. I'm busy. Got a girls' soccer game this evening. Let's move you down here. Okay, so it's not far. If we did test and hold around 400, I would think about adding another position to the trade with that VIX up in the 30s, right? Where I come put. I don't know if I have it set up down here. I don't. Let's see, what would we do? 390? $390 in the middle. Don't give me a good range. 390 by 415 by, what is that, 65? Yeah, I mean, that's a big, wide structure right there. And then you can see this thing just starts cranking out time decay. And I think I'd be done with that at that point. And so this is a trade that would make about $400 to $500. Our risk on this trade was never more than a couple $100. So that's, 2.5 to 1 on the strategy. It takes time, but it's just a nice, easy trade. And I'll probably look to start another one today while managing this one. And I still might be able to do, I still could probably do June's. So manage this one, start a new one, then be ready to adjust the new one, and then throughout the summer, be starting, adjusting, and then kicking times a little down the road. That's just kind of adding a delta neutral component to your portfolio, right? Where you have a time decay strategy. I actually have a tendency to position size mine larger because I know I don't have as many on. In the room here, I just do the same as normal, 1%, like a couple $100 is what we're looking for. But on a strategy like this, you might double or triple up the risk since you're only going to have a couple on at any given time. Anyways, calendar spreads, butterflies, iron condors, those are the delta neutral strategies that you can see are going to be positive time decay, and usually pretty delta neutral, meaning it doesn't move much one way or the other. So yeah, if we test down around 400, I think this adjustment makes sense. This gives us a nice range all the way out here to 375 to 445. That's what our range becomes. 445 is way up here. 375 would be way down here. And you've just got this wide range for basically the next 3 or 4 weeks. So anyways, let me know if you have any questions about the neutral strategies. And then let's get into the watch list now. I think we got through everything. Is this up and running? Guess what? It's red. Energy, and that's what I'm talking about. Energy has been the strongest sector by far, but if you do energy at the wrong time, it can really bash you in if you're not careful. Tesla continuing to sell off. Moderna, look at Moderna. Some drug manufacturers doing all right. But for the most part, this is broad-based selling. Chips continue to struggle. Even in our consumer defensive. Now, the consumer defensive isn't as bad. You can see, TSN's all right, but we had an ADM trade probably looking to shut that down, or it might have already triggered your stop. We were looking for this to hold. You can see that it was holding this support level, but now seems to be breaking. So even our defensive things are coming down just a little bit. Yeah, be careful out there. Alcoa just gets worse. I mean, you can see that was the and we talked about this as possibly a bearish trade here on the lower high rolling over, right? Alcoa materials coming back down. Although the price of materials coming back down is going to help with inflation, right? Apple does look like it's just well back into its consolidation. Not a lot of prospects there. ADI mostly sideways. Archer Daniels seems to be breaking support, heading lower. Amazon at new lows today. AXP selling off. There's financials not really able to hold up. BAC selling off. Caterpillar down a little further. Oil stocks look like they've hit resistance again. Same as here. Same as DBC. John Deere continues to sell off. If you happen to pull the trigger on that bearish trade we talked about last week. It's a doji, but still everything about that looks like it's heading lower still. The diamonds looks like it's trying to stabilize at least for the day. Facebook, I remember I said I like Facebook. You can see my lines are not far off, right? So if we start to hold and turn, I think this could be, it broke its consolidation. If it holds, I would let it go all the way to there. If it starts to fill the gap, I lose interest. But if it can hold inside of like 195 would be best, 195 or above. You can see we're at 200 now. I think Facebook is actually interesting. FCX continues dropping. Gold, even gold, right? That's what Mario said. Carol said, do you have a technical opinion on FSLR? Oh, look, that's perfect. That's right where we are, alphabetically speaking. It made its attempt, right? Took its shot back here. You can see this was the consolidation, 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 and then it broke. And then it came down and made a higher low. That was the first time everything looked good. That's a good trade there. Higher low, good trade there. If you would have pulled the trigger here, I would say that's a higher low. And then it's like, and then you're out. And then what's it done since then? Nothing. It's just kind of meandering, almost in a slightly down consolidation here. There's just not a lot of trend to it, right? At best, you could say maybe it's trying to stabilize if it can hold and turn, but even there, it's mostly neutral. So this is what we would like to catch, is this kind of thing, and then we would like it to last as long as possible. That's when you'll make your most amount of money, when things like that happen. That's not what's happening now, right? So we want to understand, what does that reversal process look like, so as we come out of situations like we're seeing now, we don't lose money, and then it finally does this reversal and we're too timid to trade it. That's how a lot of traders go about it. So the first thing you need to do is not participate in the drawdown. Don't lose money when conditions are choppier. The second thing is, know what exactly you're looking for the reversal, so that as we catch it, we can hit it. And if it's a short-lived, we can make a little bit of money at least before it starts to meander again. And if it happens to go longer lived, we'll continue to trade it more aggressively and then we'll trade it that way for as long as we can, keeping a very close eye on the way it looks. My pleasure, no problem. MP is interesting because domestic rare earth minerals may be ready to bounce. Yeah, the whole rare earth minerals thing is an interesting market. Like, it's funny because they're not like expensive, but they're just limited, right? I agree. That looks close. I mean, depending on how you draw this, you could make the argument that this is the consolidation. So it technically got on the other side of it. So if you made an argument to trade this bounce, I would be like, okay, I see what you're looking at there. Yeah. Um, yeah. Not I don't disagree with that at all. Okay, let's get back into it. I actually have to cut out a little bit early as I filled in. I had to move some things on my calendar. Or it's a bear flag, he says. And that could very well be true. And if it is, it's already in it, right? Like, that's the flag right there, um, which makes this the pole, theoretically, I guess. So that would actually be the breakout, right? So you'd be already bearish on this thing, thinking we're just heading on down. I, again, you can make the argument to either side without a doubt. The ambiguity of charts, that's what makes it fun. Where were we? Gold, IWM, new lows, not great. Jets, I was thinking Jets looked okay, and then it just couldn't stabilize. Now we're seeing if we're gonna hold here at 20. So, and if it breaks below 20 and then comes up to 21, I think there may be a bear play to the downside. Ted said Fred's Kashkari, good old Neil. It's Neil, I think, right? I don't know. Maybe I made that up. Concerns about energy prices resonate. Sure. Yeah. I mean, they're staying high, right? Johnson and Johnson, we thought about it. You can see some of these defensives are just, they're just kind of still look all right. They're just trying to struggle to hang on a little bit. Marriott continues dropping. Marvell trying to hold lows, but at lows. Microsoft, new lows, not great for the NASDAQ. NEO continues to sell off. Nikola, oh man, it's getting battered. It got earnings and it looked like it was going to go up, and now it's just getting smashed. It's at new lows. Nvidia, new lows. The Qs are at new lows. Here's Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks has a very similar construct as to Facebook for me, and that is it had this consolidation, earnings plus volume, make it break out. So the buyers said, yeah, we're coming in. Now the sellers are like, well, are you though? And they pull it back. But look, we haven't even gotten back. Well, I guess we've kind of closed it, but it is still technically a higher low. So if it turns from here without breaking below this, then I'd be like, okay, let's maybe look at that. So that's close. Silver keeps falling. Semiconductors falling, trying to hold lows. SPY, so we're flat still, right? We talked about the range. We said, oh, are the buyers going to break it down? Nope. They tried. The buyers came back in. Now it's pausing. So little tug of war. We'll see if it can break 406. I think it could easily get back up here to 410, 412. If it breaks 404, it could easily get down to 400. So the way we break out of this range is definitely going to have a big impact on at least the first 2 or 3 hours. We certainly have the ability to see whatever develops reverse or just continue to move one way or the other. Okay, let's get through the rest of the watch list. Tilray, Nothing there. We said it felt like maybe, but nope, maybe is a no. Tesla is at new lows, down 4%. We said we thought this might get back down to 750. UNG. Okay. UNG. Looking for it to consolidate, but I still think this could have one more big wave. If you're an Elliott wave person, it kind of, I guess you could say that's wave 1, 2, 3, in which case we're done as you look at this. But if you look at the breakout as 1, 2, then you would have one more up here, and then so I'm watching this one to see if I get something inside of that area. I'll take another stab at it. Boy, remember when we were trading it back here and we thought how volatile all this was? If only. If only. Healthcare still kind of just meandering down. USO, it's just kind of pulling back. We're down 3%. Didn't really get through those highs. It's the same highs we've been hitting. Visa, new lows. The VIX just kind of pushing into the low 30s. Hard to be bullish with the VIX in the 30s. XLP's trying to hold up. XLU trying to hold up. Victor says more energy. XOM, please. I'll take a look at ExxonMobil. I actually think this looks probably one of the strongest. I thought I had that on my list. I'm going to put it on. But it's not a buy. If you show a chart to 10 Elliott wave experts, you'll get 20 answers. That's actually 100% true, right? Elliott wave. It's interesting because I actually worked with a guy who I would say is like an Elliott wave, just superb. And maybe I'm biased because he and I tended to see, we had like an 80 to 90% correlation of how we saw things. So I don't know. Maybe that's just confirmation bias. I'm like, this guy is good. He's good. He sees it the way I see it. Oh, but I would say this is uptrending, right? And it looks like that. So if it comes down here and this gives a turn, absolutely, I would say that's a beautiful energy play, setting up maybe somewhere around 85 to 87 range. DVN versus XOM, I think, yeah, I mean, sixes, right? I think you could go either way. They both have a similar look. DVN looks strong. It's got some momentum. If it pulls back into this range, I'd say like 62.5. I think there's something there. Peloton at 14.5. Yeah, Peloton just keeps on dropping, man. Woo. Anyways. So, well, listen, guys, I got to cut us off. PBF, best oil play. Oh, yeah, very strong. Very strong. So there's three good ones, I would say. DVN, XOM, PBF for energy and oil, but it's consolidating. So wait for it to be done consolidating. Let the sellers do their thing and then catch it on the next wave. Be careful, right? There's nothing there now, but we'll see what it looks like at the end of the day. Do we think it's holding and there might be a bounce and we want to trade that bounce a little bit? Be careful with how much you trade it. I'll be here tomorrow morning, and then I'll be here all day tomorrow. So join me tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, happy trading.